Hello and welcome to the Global Y podcast series, brought to you by Global Y News Network. I'm your host, Vanessa, joining you all from Brazil. Today we are diving into a fascinating theme, from people to profits, the ROI of HR. And who better to guide us through this conversation than our very special guest? Mr. Neeraj Narang, a renewed HR evangelist, thought leader, and someone who has been championing the cause of people in organization worldwide and been serving many multinational companies. Mr. Neeraj, it's such an honor to have you here with us today. Welcome to the Global Wide podcast.
Thank you so much, Vanessa, for that generous introduction. I'm totally delighted to be here on the Global Eye podcast. The theme you have chosen from people to profits, the ROI of HR, is not only timely, but also very close to my heart. I'm really looking forward to sharing my perspectives, learning from this conversation, and hopefully leaving the audience with some practical takeaways they can apply their own context. And obviously, thank you once again for having me here.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's begin right at the heart of it. Mr. Neeraj, when we talk about from people to profits, it sounds powerful, you see. But how organizations really think about return on investment when it comes to people and HR initiatives?
Great question. And I love the way you have framed it from people to profits. It really captures the essence of modern HR. Traditionally, ROI was measured in purely financial terms, revenue, margins, or cost savings. But when it comes to people, ROI is about connecting human capital outcomes with business outcomes. For example, let's take employee engagement initiatives. If an organization invests in structural onboarding, continuous learning, and recognition programs, the ROI is not just happier employees. You can actually measure tangible benefit, business impact, lower attrition, higher productivity, and better customer satisfaction scores. In fact, I have seen companies that improved engagement score by just 10%, reduced attrition by nearly 5 to 7%, which translated into saving millions in rehiring and retraining costs. That's people impact directly showing up in the profit and loss. Or think about leadership development. When you build a pipeline of future ready leaders, you reduce dependency on extreme or external hires, shorten time to fill critical roles, and ensure business continuity. That is the clear ROI from an HR initiative. So HR leaders should always ask themselves, how does this initiative move the needle on outcomes the business cares about: revenue growth, cost efficiency, innovation, or customer satisfaction? Once that connection is made, HR stops being seen as a cost center and starts being recognized as a true value creator.
Perfect. Awesome. The another question is traditionally HR has been labeled as a cost center, sometimes unfairly and completely unfair, in my opinion. What metrics or approach do you believe can truly demonstrate that HR is a value creator and even as a profit driver?
You are absolutely right. HR has often been boxed into the label of a cost center. But the reality is, when HR uses the right metrics, it becomes very clear that it's not just about managing costs, it's about creating value and driving profits. The right metrics make that possible. Like very common metrics is talent acquisition metrics, like time to hire and quality of hire. In IT services, reducing time to hire from 60 to 30 days allows projects to start earlier and revenue to flow faster. Quality of hire ensures that new talent directly contributes to the client success. Similarly, when we talk about retention and engagement metrics, which actually is nothing but attrition rate and ENPS, In BPOs, every 1% reduction in attrition saves crores in recruitment and training, and engaged employees deliver better services, which translates into higher customer satisfaction and repeat business. And when we talk about learning and development metrics like training ROI and internal mobility, in manufacturing itself, reskilling operators led to measurable drop in production defects. In retail, tracking internal promotions reduced hiring costs and built leadership continuity. So similarly, there are so many examples on productivity and performance metrics like revenue per employee and absentees. When we talk about consulting organization, the revenue per employee is a critical metric. So if HR interventions that reduces absenteeism directly improve billing utilization and profitability. So that actually helps organization in various aspects in the return of investment perspective. Similarly, I just want to highlight two more aspects because diversity and inclusion is also now added as one of the metrics, which is nothing about but representation ratios and innovation outcomes. I've seen in tech, the diverse teams have been shown to file more patents and launch more innovative products. That's not just HR feel good, that's measurable competitive advantage. And another one is, which is now quite common, I would say, and very important for HR to measure is sustainability metrics, which is workforce well-being, green HR practices, and social impacts. So increasingly, now boards and investors want to see sustainability integrated into HR. Tracking metrics like employee well-being indices, carbon footprint of HR processes, example, digital versus paper-based onboarding, or community impact through CSR. So all these are linked to employee volunteering directly, feed into ESG scores. These are not just compliance points, but strong ESG performance attracts the investors, top talent, and even customers. So overall, I would say that the bigger message is that when HR walks into the boardroom, that too with the data that ties people metrics to the financial or innovation and sustainability outcomes, it stops being seen as a cost center and starts being recognized as a profit driver and a strategic enabler.
Yeah, this is a great explanation on how HR metrics can shift the perception from cost center to a true value creator. So perfect. We will talk a little bit more about speaking of value. Could you share some real life examples where investments in HR technology or talent development actually translated into measurable business outcomes, things like improved productivity, stronger retention, or even sparks of innovation? That would be very, very insightful.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where HR can really, I would say, win the boardroom conversation. Let me share some details based on my experience of technology and customers' interactions, where HR innovations or investments directly translated into measurable outcomes. These outcomes vary based on complexity of organization, but obviously it is important to understand that HR is actually the key uh, driver in such kind of cases. And if we talk about technology, I would say that technology is directly linked to the productivity gains. So, like if I talk about a large Indian bank, like if they implement an AI-powered SCM system for payroll, leave, and query management, the result is approximately 20 to 40% reduction in HR processing time, freeing up thousands of employee hours annually. And those hours can be, I would say, redirected to customer service and sale. And the bank can report a measurable uptick in customer acquisitions. So this is, I would say, one of the examples. Similarly, on if we invest in the talent development, which directly impacts retention cost saving. So if I say that any global IT service company, if launches a digital talent development and learning programs aligned to emerging skills like cloud and AI, it could deploy significant percentage of reskilled employees to new project internally, reducing, I would say that external hiring costs by millions dollars. That's extra like protecting I would say, the margins while meeting the client demand. And on the other hand, because similarly the leadership development, it directly links to continuity and growth. Like any manufacturing MNC, if it creates a structured, assuming if they're creating a structured leadership pipeline program, over 3 years, significant percentage of seniors roles can be filled internally. So this not only save recruitment costs, but also accelerate decision making because leaders are already steeped in company culture and strategy. So this impacts a lot. And similarly, culture and innovation, it impacts competitive edge. So likewise, so all these the red threads here is technology, learning, culture, HR investment. So all these pay when you can show the board a straight line from people initiatives to business growth or business result, higher productivity, lower costs, faster innovation, or even stronger customer outcomes. That's how HR can earn its seat at the table in the boardroom.
Excellent, very powerful examples. So let's now talk about the buzzword that everyone is chasing, digital transformation. In HR, with HCM systems, AI coming into play, how does all of this enhance ROI for organizations?
So I would say digital transformation is very close to my heart. I have been into this for long
I
now.
know, I
So
know.
so digital transformation, I would say, is no longer just a buzzword because it's become the foundation for how organizations run, and HR is right at the center of it with modern HCM systems, AI, and automation. The ROI actually comes from turning HR into a data-driven business enabling functions. So let me share a few practical lenses. Like take example of
Please.
payroll and leave management. So earlier, HR teams spent hundreds of hours processing manually the payroll, etc. With automation and AI chatbots, transactions that once I would say took days now happens instantly. Large Indian banks save nearly significant percentage in HR operating costs by moving to a cloud HCM system, freeing HR to focus on strategy rather than paperwork. So that is one I would say that example. Similarly, it all digitalization it also supports better talent decisions through analytics. So AI enabled hiring platforms now screen candidates faster and more accurately. A leading IT services company can reduce its time to hire by up to 50% while improving quality of hire by using predictive analytics that tracks candidates most likely to succeed. That's the real return on investment, and faster project starts, less bench time, higher client satisfaction. So all these are very important, I would say, aspects. Similarly, the employee experience and engagement, which is a key requirement for every organization at this point of time. So digital onboarding, learning portals, career mobility dashboards, all these give employees a consumer-like experience. Retail giant can drop employee turnover by up to 12% after deploying a personalized learning and career growth platform. Lower attrition is actually nothing but equivalent to lower rehiring costs and more consistent customer service. Similarly, on the workforce planning, which is also a very key part for any organization, with HCM data integrated with business systems, leaders can forecast workforce demand in sync with the sales or the production cycles. A manufacturing company can align its, I would say, seasonal workforce hiring with predictive analytics, can cut overtime cost by up to 15% while ensuring no production delays. So I would say the bigger point here is that the digital transformation allows HR to prove its mettle by showing direct cause and effect between HR initiative and business outcomes. When HR leaders walk, I would say, into the boardroom with the data that says that, hey, this investment in AI reduced attrition by maybe X%, saved $Y million in cost, and improved customer satisfaction by Z%. So that's when HR shifts from being a support function to being seen as a growth engine.
Perfect. So definitely digital transformation in HR drives efficiency and growth and all of this that you perfectly describe it. Perfect. So another point, ROI isn't just numbers on a spreadsheet, of course. But there is the culture, leadership development, and employee engagement side of story. How can companies capture the ROI of culture and these more intangible yet deeply impactful aspects of people strategy, in your view?
Yeah, yeah. I would say you're spot on. Like ROI is not only, I would say that about numbers in a spreadsheet. So if we talk about culture, leadership, engagement, all of them may feel intangible, but the truth is they are some of the strongest drivers of business performance. The key is to connect them to measurable outcomes. And that is very important to connect with the measurable outcomes for cultures and customer experience. Think of a retail chain. Stores with higher employee engagement scores often see higher customer satisfaction and sales. And similarly, global retailer can map employee net promoter score, which is ENPS, with store sales. For example, a 10-point rise in ENPS correlated with the 5% lift in revenue. I'm just giving hypothetical example, but actually it impacts a lot. And that's culture showing up directly in the profit and loss statements. And similarly, on the leadership development side, I would say companies that invest in leadership pipeline measure, I would say, ROI by internal fill rate for senior roles. For example, an Indian IT major can reduce external leadership hiring costs by up to 30% because trained internal talent are ready for CXOs level positions. And that's financial savings and cultural continuity. And similarly, on the employee engagement and retention side, attrition is very expensive side because in the BPO industry itself, even 1% reduction to attrition can save crores in rehiring and retraining. Engagement process programs like recognition platforms, flexible policies, well-being initiatives, all these can be tracked against turnover rates and productivity levels. And this is how I would say HR proves culture has financial weight. Innovation culture, like in tech firms, hackathons or innovation labs create a culture of experimentation. And ROI is measured by patents filed, new products launched, or faster go to market. That's culture creating competitive advantage. So overall, the bigger picture is HR needs to frame culture not as a feel good factor, but I would say as a business asset. The question to ask leadership is, if culture drives retention, productivity, innovation, and customer loyalty, can we afford not to invest in it? So yes, culture is intangible in feel, but the outcomes are very tangible. So reduced costs, higher revenue, and sustainable growth all add value from the HR justification perspective.
So it's an asset. Yes, perfect, perfect. And on the flip side, what risks do organizations face that can reduce or even eliminated the expected ROI, especially when HR transformation are not aligned with the legal and ethical frameworks? That sounds like a critical point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You have touched actually a very critical point over here because HR transformation without legal and ethical alignment can backfire badly. And in fact, it can wipe out the ROI we are all aiming to prove. So here are some of the real risk, I would say, organization space, like from the regulatory and compliance risk perspective, if payroll benefits or working hours are not aligned with the local, I would say, labor laws, companies face lawsuits, penalties, and even bans. For instance, a global tech company can be fined millions in Europe under GDPR for mishandling employee data. One misstep in compliance can erase years of saving from automation. So similarly, on ethical AI and bias risk perspective, many firms use AI for hiring. If those algorithms are not audited for bias, they can unfairly screen out women or minority candidates. There are cases which happened recently. Apart from reputational damage, this creates a kind of legal liability and undermines diversity and inclusion, which directly clashing with the business and ESG goals. Similarly, on the employee trust and engagement risk perspective, HR transformation that focus only on efficiency but ignore transparency, like implementing monitoring tools without clear communication, erode trust. Low trust leads to disengagement and higher attrition and productivity loss. For example, surveys show employees who distrust HR systems are 3 times more likely to leave within a year. Similarly, on the reputation and brand risk perspective, today I would say that employer brand is as important, I would say, as customer brand. If an organization is seen cutting corners on ethical practices, say ignoring workforce safety or mishandling layoffs, social media amplifies it instantly. The cost, the talent pipelines dry up, and customers question whether they should do business with you or not. So that becomes a big question mark. Means you're going to lose a lot of revenue from the customers. And on the strategic misalignment risk perspective, I would say that HR programs rolled out without linking to legal frameworks or business ethics often look good on paper but fail to deliver. For example, promising flexibility but ignoring compliance with the overtime pay laws leads to legal disputes and employee dissatisfaction and negating any return on investment. So the lesson to HR leaders is clear. The ROI ROI of transformation is not just measured in cost savings or speed; it's also in risk mitigation. When HR, I would say, embeds compliance, ethics, and transparency into every initiative, it is not only I would say it not only protects the organization from penalties and reputations loss, but also builds a culture of trust that multiplies ROI in the long run.
Perfect, perfect. Again, so very perfect. So finally, looking ahead, the big question, how do you see the very concept of ROI in HR evolving in the next 5, 10 years? Do you think it will stay centered into financial outcomes, or will it expand to embrace ESG and even broader social impact?
Oh, wow, such a powerful question, I would say. And even if it is the last question, then powerful closing question too. For
Good.
decades, for decades, ROI in HR was narrowly defined, like cost per hire, attrition reduction, or productivity gains. Those will remain important for sure. But over the next 5 to 10 years, the very uh, definition of ROI will expand far beyond financial outcomes, I would say. Like here, how I see it evolving from financial uh, to ESG and sustainability perspective, I would say investors and boards are increasingly demanding ESG disclosures, the HR's role in well-being, the carbon conscious HR practices like paperless processes, remote work, and workforce community programs will directly influence ESG scores. A strong ESG profile affects or attracts, I would say, investors and top talent, uh, so that HR, so HR will be measured on its ability to drive sustainability or sustainable business outcomes. I would say that becomes a very important part, and that will become the part of ROI for HR. From workforce metrics to societal impacts perspective, ROI will include how companies impact the society through diversity, inclusion, and skilling. For example, organizations that invest in local community upskilling not only build talent pipelines but also strengthen their brand license to operate. And if we talk about the retention and resilience perspective, which is very important perspective from the future ROI perspective, is the pandemic taught us resilience is as critical as profitability. We should not only focus on profitability, because resilience is also as important as profitability. In the future, ROI will measure how well HR builds organizational resilience, agility, digital readiness, and leadership pipelines that can withstand shocks. A company that bounces back 3 months faster than its competitor after a disruption has a measurable financial edge than others. And from employees engagement to human experience perspective, which is a key, I would say metric. Engagement scores will evolve into holistic human experience indices,
Wonderful.
measuring physical, emotional, digital, and even
Mhm.
ethical well-being of employees. Companies already see that better employee experience correlate with higher customer ENPS, or I would say NPS, and revenue growth. HR will prove ROI by linking HX directly to customer outcomes. So the impact overall, I would say, HR will no longer be justified only by cost saved, or I would say time reduced. Instead, it will be valued for driving sustainable growth, social credibility, innovation, and resilience. In short, in the future, ROI in HR will be multidimensional: financial, ESG, societal, resilience, and so on. This makes HR not just a function, but a strategic architect of value creation for organizations and the communities they operate to. They operate in. So I think that becomes very important from HR standpoint in future.
Yeah, it's so excited to see, to listen from you with this brilliant experience, this visionary outlook. It's very excited. Perfect. So wow, it was an enlightening conversation that has been. Mr. Neeraj, thank you so much for joining us on the Global Wide podcast series and sharing your vision, your wisdom on such a powerful theme. Thank you very much.
I just
To our
Vanessa, I just want to add
Okay,
one more thing, because ROI,
please.
I actually give my own definition to ROI. So I would say R, if I say that R means
Please.
reimagining people's strategy from my perspective. O is optimize outcomes, and I means inspire impact. If you're able to achieve this, or if we as a HR leader keep ROI, means reimagine, optimize, inspire at the heart of our work, I'm sure that we will prove every single day that HR is not a cost center, but a true driver of growth and transformation. And that is very important for every HR person to understand. And if they learn this, I think they'll rock in their role.
Perfect. Wonderful. Wonderful. So again, thank you very much for stay with us, for divide with us the whole experience, the whole this issue, this theme is so important to us, and to our listener. I think that they are very happy to have you with us. So to our listener, our listeners, thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to follow the Global Y podcast series from Global Y News Network.